Hello, my name is Teraturina. I'm the daughter of Cthulhu and Sita, or rather, Cthulhu as you humans know him as. You really can't pronounce his name correctly on this planet, but I'm the daughter of Cthulhu and Sita, and today I'm going to be discussing ocean monsters with you. Or rather, what you consider to be ocean monsters and what everyone else in the ocean considers to be ocean monsters. I consider them distant cousins. Let me see. Okay. I've made a note of them in my water journal. Let me start with let's discuss the freshwater creatures you can find. Not including crocodiles and alligators, of course, which are common, especially in Florida. But let me see. Obviously, there's piranhas that loom within fresh bodies of water. When it comes to piranhas, though, despite being ugly and voracious and fast, a human attack isn't common as much as people back in the earlier days when they were conducting, what's it called? I forgot the correct term, but when they were going on adventures in South America, they would often go into fresh bodies of water to get a drink and whatnot. And their men would often get attacked and even sometimes killed by piranhas, but it's not as common as people make it out to be. The next one is a tigerfish. It's a lot like the piranha in the sense that it's a smaller fish with teeth, but once more, nothing to fret about. The giant catfish is ugly. I mean, people with Tinder might know about those troubles. I think that's really what they're prevalent upon. And then the vampire fish. The vampire fish is larger than the piranha and the tigerfish, from when I measured them. And I don't really consider these to be monsters. I just consider them to be fanged fish. But the vampire fish is called a vampire fish on account of the fact that it has, fangs that look like fangs. Now let me see. I think that's the only couple of fish that I wanted to discuss when it comes to the freshwater, creatures. The next one I want to discuss are the well-known saltwater creatures, and that's when we really get into the creepy stuff. Because, as a lot of people do know, the ocean is only 5% discovered. We still have 95% of it to go. So it's basically a whole different world down there that no human knows about. Except for me, because I'm half human, but oh well. I'm sharing my knowledge now. The first creature we have to discuss is, he's actually very nice. He's very cute and he's very friendly. It's called the frilled shark. The frilled shark is eel-like. It's like, it has the body of an eel basically, but it has the head that kind of guts out like that. And its head goes like this, with the nose right here, and then the mouth is more located towards the bottom of its face. It has eyes, much like the catfish where it's at the top, and then the mouth is on the bottom. But when its teeth, it usually keeps its mouth kind of open, if not, noticeably open, and its teeth is very frilled, of course. Like everything about the gills are frilled. It itself kind of seems a little jagged, but the teeth are frilled. When you look at it, it looks like very small pieces of coral kind of dotting the insides of its mouth. But in reality, it's teeth, and people have actually cut their hands trying to examine the teeth. And to the naked eye, basically, it doesn't seem as sharp as it is rather in real life. They are more common in the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, around Norway, Scotland, Ireland, France, Morocco, and Mauritania. and they really only prey on like bottom dwellers and stuff like that. They're not, you know, man-eaters, which is good for you. Now, the next, I'm gonna start drawing these, just so that way you get a picture reference for what I'm talking about. Oh, the gulper eel. There's not much known about the gulper eel. It has a very thin body, but once you get to the head, it's huge. Let me kind of draw it for you. I'm gonna make a rough sketch. Let me see. I think it really stays to the bottom of the ocean, so people don't really know where it's most prevalent. I think that's kind of the case for, it looks like Pac-Man, but with a body. Huh. It kind of has like a pelican beak, and then like, it kind of has the head of a pelican basically, and then a pelican jaw, but with a tail. Like an ugly version of Halley's Comet. But yeah, I think that's kind of the case with most of these creatures. Since they stick so far down to the bottom, people don't really know where they're most common because humans can't really reach that deep yet. I have faith that in the next couple of centuries you guys can come up with the technology to see it. But that's gonna take the next couple of centuries. A lot of you are gonna die off not knowing what was really down there, or what was really up there, for all you guys know. Just like people back in the 1500s don't know what went on today in the current future or technology and newfound knowledge that the world is not flat or, you know, squared. Yeah. Redundant. Yeah. I guess that's good enough. And they don't have teeth. So I guess this could be good enough. It's like kind of like a sperm on steroids, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the idea of a gulper eel. Actually, no, I think the top of the head is supposed to be thinner. All of the mass is really at the jaw, the bottom part. But yeah, kind of like so many comparisons in all honesty. It looks like so many things. The next one is the anglerfish. I think that's the most common one to know about because of how ugly it is. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so. But yeah, it's that really ugly fish with the light on top. Let me see. I used to confuse it with the angelfish, and so when I asked my father, who's also a god, Cthulhu, as once more you guys know him as, once more you can't pronounce his name correctly, and I kind of feel bad mispronouncing his name so much. But let me see. When I asked him for a pet fish, or rather pet, because you know everything underneath the ocean is basically classified as fish of some degree, or you know, an isopod, or you know, whatever. But when I asked him for a fish, for a pet, I was meaning to ask him for an angelfish, and this was when I was really little. I was meaning to ask him for an angelfish, but instead he gave me an anglerfish. And ever since then, that's really molded my impression of what I've liked and what I've disliked. Instead of liking the pretty things like an angelfish, I've liked the pretty things like an anglerfish. Let me just give it that Superman little curl with a light bulb. And then little beady eyes. That way you don't see into its soul. You just see all of its teeth. And it kind of has a snarl too. Like it's weird. Like obviously these creatures, to our knowledge, don't have personalities. But once more, this is terrible. It's a rough sketch. These creatures don't have personalities, but some of them look like they really have a personality. You should Google some of these. I know that humans have Google now. Before they had the library, and then before then, you know, they were restricted from the knowledge they were supposed to know because otherwise God would kill them. And, give me one moment. So you guys are really get on this. Can't make it ugly enough. I'm so sad. A good artist can make anything look ugly. Guess I'm not a good artist. Oh well. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh well. that is my best impression of an anglerfish right there. It needs more teeth right there. So they're very common to the bottom, to the deep ocean. They're found basically all over the world. So no matter where you step in, as long as, if you go deep enough to the ocean, these creatures are below you. Along with a bunch of others, of course, you know, like, let's not pretend ourselves. Everything in the ocean is basically automatically Australia. Like, if you step into the ocean, everything there wants to kill you. Or hurt you at the very least, but that's just because they're not strong enough to do the job. But, yeah, these are all over the world. They've washed up, or rather they've been found, everywhere once more, so. They're basically the goldfish of the world, I guess you could say. Now, the stargazer fish. This one's also ugly, but once more, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The stargazer fish is a fish that camouflages into the sand, so that way, you know, it can't be found, obviously, since it doesn't move that fast. So it has to pounce on its prey. It is in the deep ocean, in the deep sea, but it can also be found in shallow waters where people, you know, walk around knee deep and whatnot. So you could step on one of these, and it could bite your foot off. Give me one moment. Its mouth is really towards the bottom, since it's called a stargazer fish. It is called yep, I'm not mispronouncing its name. And its eyes are towards the top, looking at the stars, hence the name. So, there we go. It's gonna look so stupid. Okay. I guess. Whatever. This is gonna look like a character off of Sesame Street. Like, this is incredible. I am very well versed in the human culture, over the years, obviously. We have a course on human history within the ocean, because we know the importance of learning other people's culture. Otherwise, we're just ignorant and believe that we're the only thing in the world. I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna add fins for the hell of it. Or for the Tartarus of it. Okay, so that honestly looks like a kid with like chronic acne, or like a cookie, or like a character off of Sesame Street. It's not a good drawing, but oh well. I think you basically, to better explain it, so that way you can kind of get a better picture of it rather than the picture that I just drew. They once more bury themselves in the sand, so they're of like a very beige color. And on top of that, they have eyes that look to the top. Their skin is quite rough and lumpy, and they pounce. Their mouth is on the bottom. In fact, it's not even on the bottom. I think it's just, I can't remember whether it's extended, as in like it's still at the top, just extended down, or at the bottom. Let me see. Stargazer. Oh, and they're also venomous and can cause electroshocks. So if you step on one of these, you're probably gonna go through a lot of pain, if not death. And then the goblin shark. I know people who look like the goblin shark. The goblin shark, I think, might be one of my favorite sharks, actually. Obviously, my favorite shark is the great white. I think it's adorable. Like, the Megalodon was intimidating, but the great white is so adorable. Like, I love it. The goblin shark, let me see. Looks like a goblin, of course. So, let me see. It's a bottom dweller that looms within the coastal lines of the Gulf of Mexico and the Indo-Pacific River, or rather ocean. Sorry, some sun threw me off. Let me see. In all honesty, I do believe that the goblin shark really is my favorite. Like, it is so ugly. Sometimes, like, the ugly things are the interesting things, because it's like, God, Like, they're so not pleasing to the eye that it makes you want to keep looking. I'm trying to remember. I know its eyes are really gross too. Oh yeah, its gums jutted out. That's what I was forgetting. Like when it goes for the kill, or when it's gonna eat anything, really, it's a bottom dweller. What can it kill? Its jaw kind of, like, its gums kind of pop out further. It's kind of like, it kind of has a horse face in that sense, but not really. Its gums pop out and its nose goes up, and it's like, I don't know, it's really gross, but I like it. It's really cool to look at. Let me see. I'm not an artist. It's okay. So, that's my best take on the goblin shark. Or not my best take, but I mean, like, I only drew it in like a minute. What's about to? Keep hearing things fall. I don't like when things fall, even though under the water it's... Things when they fall on land are a lot harder and, you know, louder than they do when they fall on in the water, so I don't like when things fall on land. It really shocks me. I'm not used to it. But let me see. There we go. Some seawater that I brought. I would offer you some, but I know that humans can't tolerate seawater. Or rather, you can tolerate it, it's just not healthy for you. It hurts your organs. Let me see. Let's get to the quote-unquote extinct creatures that people think are gone, but I mean, the ocean is so vast, how can you say that something is for sure gone? You know, once more, the 95% of the ocean is not discovered by man, so these things could really still be out there. And starting off, we're going to start off with a creature that's considered mythic, but in 1915, and I'm reading it off the notes, in 30th of July 1915, during the World War II fight between, I think it was Germany and Great Britain, there was a ship called the U-28, or a submarine called the U-28, and it blew up a British supply ship, but when it blew it up, the things that were around it blew up in the air with it, and so when everything that was, you know, underneath it kind of went down, but then kind of re-emerged going upwards because of the explosion, you know, it contracts and then expands. When everything kind of started going out of the ocean, this crocodile-like creature that was far huger than their ship ended up exploding with it, and by the time it was up in the air, it was already dead. Like, you know, it couldn't survive the blast, but they said that it was, you know, basically like a frightening monster, like the Loch Ness monster or something, and they had to write it down in the reports because, you know, they had seen it, and the reason why there's so much questionable validity to it, because otherwise people would have been like, you guys were, you know, under the pressure of war and whatnot, you were just seeing things. But the reason why there's, you know, validity to it is because they say that if they were to document such an experience, that would have just basically put their jobs at risk. You know, they would have been the laughing stock of their army. And so if they had written it down, that obviously meant that, you know, they had really seen it. They were willing to go and take that risk, that career risk. But once more, it was this large crocodile, so you guys know what a crocodile is, and it exploded. Yeah, so, and I don't know if there was photo of it or whether there was just an illustration, but I know that you can see the image. It's just called the U-28 creature. So, the next one is my favorite. It is the Megalodon, or Megalodon. Depends on how you pronounce it. So, the Megalodon or the Megalodon is like 3 times the size of the great white shark, and it's a prehistoric creature that has been thought of to go extinct due to the fact that its diet cannot support its body mass. You know, it's too big to exist, to continue existing. And there's a movie about it, like a horror movie about it, but it's not good. I would not recommend it. It's kind of poorly made. But speaking of movies, let me just show you some of my favorite movies. Obviously, my favorite movie, whenever I'm like, relaxing underneath the ocean, under the sea. Whenever I'm relaxing under the sea, I usually put on my favorite flick, which is Jaws. Look at that. Like, honestly, can you not say that this is an interesting image? Like, it's gonna eat her. Like, and look at all those teeth. And his nose is, like, directly pointed at getting her. And it's like, wow. These creatures are really interesting and fascinating because, once more, they're just so interesting to look at because they look like things that weren't meant to exist. They're truly, like, the oceans are, land has been made to be so hospitable to man that seeing anything that's too frightening is often, turned into a myth, like El Chupacabra and, ghosts and whatnot, but those are genuine myths, if I'm not mistaken. So, those aren't real, but these are real, and the ocean really is no place for mankind, and that's kind of an interesting dynamic because we've been so used to being in place within the earth, but the earth is covered 70% of water, so this really isn't our planet. 30% of it, we can claim it, but the rest of it really doesn't belong to us. Not even the 30% belongs, and I'm including myself because I'm half human, but not even the 30% belongs to us because there's like natural disasters and whatnot. We could say that we conquered the earth, but did we really? Or did you really, rather? I'm like 1/3 human, if I really get into the specifics of it. But yeah, look at that. Just like, this is what I have to deal with on a daily basis. Like, it's so honestly, I consider them to be distant cousins because my family they're all sea monsters. I mean, my mother is half, serpent, her bottom half. She looks like the Starbucks logo, basically. She's actually the creature on the Starbucks logo. Or rather, she comes from the same demographic. Her husband is, because my parents are divorced, her husband is like this feared ocean creature. And their children, combined together with those genetics, are frightening, to say the least. But yeah, actually, this is a better image of what a goblin shark kind of looks like. That's a better idea. But anyways, and also my second favorite. I really like this movie. Like, despite the fact that Jaws is a classic, I really like this movie. But let me just remove some tags off of it. It's having that little sticker effect. And then for tag number 2, which is the last one. As I'm doing this though, this movie, despite being, you know, modern and whatnot, and people being like, well, Jaws is obviously the defining shark movie, this movie's great. I really like it. It goes into how mankind kind of going back, well, it relates quite well, going back to how mankind has believed that they've conquered the earth and that they've, you know, that they can bend any powerful entity that's on the earth to their command or will. This movie kind of disproves that and says, no, you really can't control what you can't control. You can't control the untamable, you can't control the fierce and the powerful. In this movie, get me one now? Yeah, here you go. This is the movie that I really like. In fact, I think this might be one of my favorite movies. Man-made movies. We have our own movies in the ocean as well. It's called Deep Blue Sea, and the premise of it is basically that there's a bunch of scientists underneath the ocean, and their base is underneath the ocean, but obviously they have a land, one that's above the water as well. They have a mission going on where oh god, it's so intimidating. Could you imagine being underneath the ocean and seeing something like that? That is awesome. But their mission is to basically cure Alzheimer's by by genetically altering the sharks, and I think they make their brains bigger to harness a string of DNA that prevents them from getting Alzheimer's. I think it's Alzheimer's. It might have been cancer, because sharks can't get cancer either. They make their brains bigger so that way. No, it's Alzheimer's, because otherwise what are they doing in the brain? They make the brain bigger so that way they can extract a certain gene that prevents Alzheimer's within the sharks, and, you know, capture it and ship it out to get, you know, studied and being under research, so that way they can use it for medicine for humanity, to make it the point. Anyways, that's basically the premise of the story. However, because the sharks' brains have gotten bigger, they've gotten smarter, and they eventually kind of use their newfound intelligence to really mess with the scientists. And it's kind of like, don't mess with Mother Nature, in a sense, like the same Frankenstein sort of premise. Anyways, I don't know about you, but I just really like the image of sharks. Anyways, back to the Megalodon. The Megalodon, if you know what the great white shark looks like, you kind of know what the Megalodon looks like. It has very minor details that are different, but basically looks the same, only 3 times bigger. A man could stand inside of the mouth of a Megalodon. Let me see. And by a man, I mean like a 6-foot man. 6 feet, yeah. The next creature we have is called the Dacosaurus, or the Dacosaurus, I don't know. Come see, come saw, tomato, tomato. The Dacosaurus is basically a creature with the Loch Ness Monster's body and the Tyrannosaurus Rex's head. So, let me see if I can draw that. They're considered an apex predator, which means that they're at the top of their food chain, or were at the top of their food chain. Or could be still at the top of their food chain, considering how you don't know if they're extinct. And then the body of a Loch Ness monster. Oh man, this is a worse genetic combo than my parents. Okay. I guess. So, this is kind of, where is it? Oh, you can see it. This is kind of what the Dacosaurus looks like. They were an apex predator, and oh no, I shouldn't have done that one. they basically hunted some of the other creatures we have on this list. And the next one is the Leviathan. There was a biblical creature called the Leviathan, spelled Leviathan, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. This one is the scientific term, which is spelled Livyatan. The Leviathan in the Bible is the one that was rumored to have swallowed Jonah whole, hence where this creature gets its name. This creature is like any other normal, blue whale, except that it has teeth, very voracious teeth, predatorial teeth. So just imagine a whale with huge teeth. That's basically the premise, actually. And it was also the same. It's actually quite prevalent within culture, within human culture. I wonder why. And it was featured in the story Moby Dick as well. That was the whale that Moby Dick was fighting. Hence why it had eaten. Oh, I forgot what limb it had eaten. And I read the book too. I can't remember whether it was its leg or its hand, or his hand. Call me Ishmael. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, it was the one that ate something of Ishmael. That book was basically like policy, marine policy. That's kind of why I got bored with it. I didn't really pay attention. But still, it's such a notable detail. The foot or the hand. I feel like it's the hand because it makes more sense because, he was a whaler and his hand got cut off. But for some reason I imagine him as being a pirate, so I can see the leg too. Anyways, that was the same creature that was also featured inside of Moby Dick and the Bible. Only this one we found fossil records of, and possible future records of ones that were living during our times. Let me go. I'm gonna drop down to the Plesiosaurus. The Plesiosaurus that's the Loch Ness Monster, basically. It has a very long neck, a small head, and the body of a Loch Ness Monster, so it is the Loch Ness Monster. It was a feared predator, however, due to the fact that it had a long neck, it made it easy for other predators, such as the Dacosaurus and the next two that we're going to be discussing, to simply chop down on the neck and, take it out. So, the Plesiosaurus, spelled, I might have just shorthanded it, PlesiosauruS, is the Loch Ness Monster, or the equivalent to the Loch Ness Monster. The next two that we're going to be discussing are very similar, so I kind of lumped them into the same category. It's the Kronosaurus and Predator X. They're similar looking as the Dacosaurus, but the Dacosaurus really just looks like the Loch Ness Monster with a Tyrannosaurus Rex head. These two, however, have their own sort of look. It's similar but different. Once more, they have a marine body with fins and whatnot that equips them for swimming. But their faces are much more elongated than the Dacosaurus. Oh, the Dacosaurus is going to block it off in my drawing book. I guess, whatever. Okay, so that does not look fearsome at all, but trust me, they're a fearsome creature. And I do mean present tense. So, this is my rendition of a Dacosaurus. Or not a Dacosaurus, this is the Dacosaurus somewhere here. There we go. This is the Dacosaurus. This is the Predator X and the Kronosaurus. I'm not exactly sure if the Kronosaurus got their name because of the fact that I think it was Cronus in Greek mythology that ate his children. I think so. In fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And so because they were such a fearsome, god basically to the oceans, they were labeled that because they were eating so many things and they were considered a god. But really, you can apply the name to everything down there that's a fearsome god that eats everything. The creatures on land might label that to humans, but that wouldn't make sense because they don't have Greek mythology. The animals, I mean. So, let me see. I think those are all the creatures that I have to cover. I might go into the mythological creatures, or quote-unquote mythological creatures, like, what's a mythological creature? My father's considered a mythological creature, and so are my mother, and all of my half-brothers and sisters, and cousins, and, yeah, so I'll probably go into my family tree, just to, discuss some of the family members that I have. And, yeah, that may be the next thing that I discuss, but right now, my hair is really dry, my skin is really dry, and I just want to go back to my ocean, so